I ended 7 wars, dealt with the leaders of each and every one of these countries, and never even received a phone call from the United Nations.
President Trump's breakthrough peace deal against Hamas, ending the war that Hamas started, has gone into effect ahead of the release of the remaining hostages. The clock has begun on Hamas's 72 hours to release those held in captivity who are still alive at the very least. It comes as 200 American troops will deploy to the Gaza Strip to help oversee Israel's withdrawal from the region.
This is now the 7th major conflict ended during President Trump's second term. Begs the question, why do we hand over billions of taxpayer dollars to the feckless United Nations when we've got President Trump?
For more, let's bring in Hoover Institute senior fellow Victor Davis Hanson. Why do we, Victor? It's great to see you following this kind of monumental deal that President Trump brokered.
Yeah, he did everything in opposition to what the UN or past administrations had done. He took out the nuclear threat in Iran. He allowed Israel to dismantle Hezbollah, Hamas, deal with the Houthis. That gave Netanyahu more stature, but then he also got more leverage on Netanyahu for the favors he had given them. Then he didn't demonize the Gulf monarchies the way Biden did, but he coaxed them into pressuring the Gaza people, what's left of them, by trade deals, tariff concessions, and he treated them as allies. And then the bad boy of the Gulf, Qatar, who always causes trouble, he made it a protectorate. And everybody said, well, why do you do that? Well, he really has control over their destiny and their safety now. So he did all, and there's no more Russians in the Middle East because of the Syrian Assad dynasty's gone. So he did all of these things leading up to this that we don't appreciate. And then he's transactional. He doesn't hold grudges. So it's a clean slate. If you guys want to be rebuilt, we've got the money in the Gulf. We've got the security. It's up to you. And I think Hamas had no choice given they were going to be obliterated, what's left of them.
And this goes into your criticism of the United Nations. And one of the things that you say is from the League of Nations, which was the first iteration of the UN, to the UN to Trump Global. And you say only half the UN members are free societies or democracies. The greatest threats to world peace, Russia and China, have veto power on the Security Council. Anti-Semitism is now a UN brand. So is rank corruption and profiteering. So what do you think we should do about the frankly impotent United Nations?
Yeah, I think we got to cut back on all of the so-called refugee relief funds, and we've got out of most of them, and we've got out a lot of the spin-offs like the WHO and other criminal court. But I think Trump should have a serious conversation whether you even want the UN headquarters in New York, because for half the membership, that's the only time they ever vote in a democratic fashion. They go home to these autocratic societies. They like to live it up and trash the United States and then live it up in Manhattan. So I think he should say, you know what, put it in Ghana or maybe, I don't know, Peru or somewhere. And it's pretty irrelevant. I can't think of one thing it's done in the last 30, 40, 50 years to further peace.
Victor, I wasn't joking. I said during the UN General Assembly, these diplomats, if you want to call them that, they come here to do drugs and have sex with women and shop. That is the truth. And they do nothing but coddle murderous nations that torture their own people. And the big picture is, it's one thing that you were talking about, the way President Trump thinks about the world. His playbook is literally, and it's based on his own history, his thinking as a person, but it's also based on whatever the Democrats have done in modern history, or even like going back in history. If they do that and think that way, I'm going to do the exact opposite.
Yeah, I think he thinks they don't understand human nature, why people do what they do. They do it for incentives and fear of punishment. And he offers certain incentives and said, this is the easy way, or you can have the disincentives, and this is the hard way. And then he doesn't insult people. He just sits there and he radiates power and authority. And Biden was loud and cranky, insulted the Saudis. He weighed in on everything, but he was anemic and he's weak, and they had no respect for him. And right as we're talking, Gagan, the UN has just put China and Iran on their human rights commission, and they're the most autocratic, barbaric countries in the world as far as human rights go. So Trump saw that, and he didn't even give lip service to the UN. He treated them as the way they should have been treated. He didn't curry favor with the Europeans. He didn't say, let's bring in the Russians for a Russian plan. He just did it, and he made all these personal relationships with Turkey, the Gulf people, and he said, this is what I can do for you, and this is how I can punish you. What do you want to do?
Love it.
It was brilliant.
Except
so
in
far.
your piece, you reminded me that Woodrow Wilson, who was born in the Commonwealth of Virginia as I was, not only gave us the income tax, he gave us the precursor of the United Nations. So he pretty much is the worst president of the United States. Victor Davis Hanson, thank you so much.